What's up, guys? Doomwake here. Welcome to another video on the channel. As always, before we continue, make sure to smash that like button. Please be sure to let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the video. Let's see if we can get this video to 150 likes. Can you do that for me? I greatly appreciate it. I'm back from Vegas. It was a lot of fun. I had it was one of the most fun trips that I've ever taken in my entire life. Even though the tournament didn't go so well, you know, just being able to hang out with all friends and meet some new people, it was just an amazing experience. Wouldn't trade it for the world. But we got some Magic to cover. There was a lot of events that happened over the past week. The weekend. And we got some data, so I am happy to kind of go over that. Because there's more events, we're going to spend a little bit less time. I'm going to try not fly through it, but I'm going to spend a little bit less time on each deck than I usually do. But let's take a look and see what events we got to look over here. We're going to be going over 5 events today. First, MTG Las Vegas. That was the open event that took place in Las Vegas, about 1,500 players. We got the Saturday and Sunday challenges on Magic Online. Those are the weekly Magic Online challenges. There was a PTQ on Magic Online that happened on Sunday, and then we got the another sort of local to them event that I found here, the Paris Championship. I don't quite know the player count. I think, actually, I can probably look it up here. 200 players. So a relatively, decent sized event that I wanted to just highlight here. But again, we're going to only be going over the top 8s, and yeah, let's just get started because there's a lot of stuff to go over. Alright, so first up we have MTG Las Vegas. The event was won by Rakdos Aggro. This is the Aspiring Spike Rakdos deck. I think this might be Spike's exact deck list. 2 Voidwalker, 3 Turok. I'm like fairly convinced this is Spike's exact deck list, so not surprised to see it win the tournament. It's a very good mid-range deck, and this is kind of like the Jund of the format. Next up, we got Creativity. Now, I'm not 100% positive on what the differences are between this and Mana Symbols list. 3 Fire Ice, 1 Faithful Mending. That's interesting. Hard Evidence, but yeah, this is kind of like, Hard Evidence, Creativity. This is the 4-color version with a bunch of Planeswalkers, the Emrakul, and the Emissary, which has kind of become stock at this point. Archon's fallen out of favor in favor of those creatures. 2 Bolts, 3 Commands. Sideboard has some cool stuff. 2 Verdict, 2 Calm. Yeah, some cool stuff going on. The 1 Mending, I guess, is the one thing worth noting. Third place, we got a blast from the past here. Infect. Are you surprised to see Infect in the top 8? Me too. I guess the cool thing about this list is there's 8 Hierarchs. And Phyrexian Crusader, which is an absolute beating right now, because the most common removal spells that are played are Prismatic Ending, Lightning Bolt, Fury, Solitude, dodges, all of those. And also dodges to Fairy Bounce. People just aren't really playing Fatal Push, and that's like the only card that can reliably kill a Crusader. So, yeah, I mean, it's shocking to see Infect in the top 8, but when you think about how good Crusader is in the format, not that surprising. Bunch of 4-ofs here, 2 Become Immense, 2 Blossoming Defense. I kind of like that. I like the 8 Hierarchs, and then 3 Gem Raisers in the sideboard is worth noting. Fourth place, we got Jund Saga by Nathan Stewart. Very, very good Magic Online, very good grinder, very good Magic Online player. And this is kind of, looks pretty stock to me. 2 Decay, 2 Push, 2 Thoughtseize, 4 Ren, 4 Goyf. Yeah, I like a lot of these numbers, and just trying to see if there's anything worth noting here. A Doomblade in the sideboard. Yeah, I mean, just a lot of good numbers, very solid mid-range deck, and definitely a good choice if you're into the Tarmogoyf kind of thing. Fifth place, we got 4-color control. This is the Nassif. Yeah, this is the Nassif Million Planeswalkers, Kahira, Counterspell, control deck. 2 Furies in the main deck, which I don't think Nassif had before, which I do kind of enjoy. I like Fury main deck. 2 Force of Negation. I think we've trimmed the Teferi Hero Dominaria, which I don't mind, especially in favor of more Furies. I kind of like that. And 2 Verdict, 2 Force of Negation. Good bunch of the rest are pretty much 4-ofs. Mana base looks pretty similar. 3 Endurance in the sideboard, 2 Chalice. Yeah, a lot of stuff to like here. If you're a fan of control decks, this is probably the go-to control deck of the format right now. Then we get to the Amulet Titan part of the top 8. So this is 6th place, excuse me. 6th place, Levi Sprung, Amulet, very good Magic Online player again. Definitely a grinder. And this is the Karn version. So this is the 4 Karn, the Great Creator. 2 Explore, 1 Map, 1 Azusa, and then the rest 4 ofs. The mana base, just scanning over it very briefly, has Radiant Fountain, Slayer's Stronghold, 2 Valakut, 2 T-West, so looks pretty stock here, but the one thing worth noting is the Karn package is what we're going with here. Sideboard has some Karn targets, some pack targets. Sideboard's, you know, pretty much all tutor targets in that regard. 2 explosives, 2 force to round that out. But yeah, 6th place, Amulet Titan. 7th place, no, I didn't just copy paste the deck list. This is Amulet Titan again. Andy Wilson, another good Magic Online grinder. Playing, again, 4 Karn the Great Creator, and this has 2 more Azusas and 2 less Explorers, and I think everything else is pretty much the same. There might be like 1 or 2 differences in the mana base, so don't quote me on that, but yeah, as far as the non-lands are concerned, it's just 2 Azusos over 2 Explorers. Everything else is pretty much the same. Sideboard looks a little bit different. 2 Endurance, 2 Explosives, 3 Force, a Sky Sovereign, 2 Trackers, so a little bit less tutoring, right? Because it looks like there's less one-ofs. But yeah, I think I like the Azusas more than the Explorers if I had to pick. But yeah, is Amulet Titan back on the map? Maybe. In 8th place, we have kind of the dark horse of the event. I don't even know exactly how many wins this person got to before they made top 8, but it was quite a bit. It was quite a few. This is Hardened Scales. So, 4 Ravager, 2 Arcbound Worker, 3 Ingenious Smith, 4 Zabaz, only 2 Ancient Stirrings, which is kind of interesting, 3 Ozolith, 3 Jar, and they have a Witch's Oven, which is kind of sick to be able to find Alpha Saga as being able to turn Saga into a sack outlet, to turn on your Hangerback Walker or Arcbound Worker if you don't have another sack outlet, which is kind of sick. I like that. So that is a cool innovation. The Power Depot, 4 Nexus, that's all kind of standard right there. But yeah, the innovation here, I like the collar, I like the oven, sideboard, you know, a bunch of good cards, Nature's Claim, Chalice, Ending, Relic, Orb. But yeah, 8th place, Hardened Scales. Now, let's get into the Magic Online events of the weekend. All right, so we're going to get started with the Saturday challenge. I can't speak today. This is won by Mr. Kafuyet. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this is Blue-White Control. So this is Kahira. I know I was just talking about the 4-color control deck as the premier control deck of the format, and then we have this deck winning the tournament, the challenge on Saturday. So I prefer the 4-color deck. I think it just has a lot more access to just more higher threat density, and just a little bit, you know, the mana base isn't as clean. Obviously, it's almost like the 4-color deck is just a blue-white deck splashing red and 6, which is kind of, you know, you're going to lose percentage points there. But I just think that deck has more power, and I think I would probably lean towards it if I was playing a control deck. But this deck is certainly still good. There's an Emrakul on the sideboard. That's kind of cool for the mill matchup. Not a ton else to talk about. A Fracturing Gust, I guess. 1 main deck Chalice, 2 in the board. But yeah, blue-white control, first place. Second place, Sodek, a name you'll probably recognize from Twitter and Twitch. Playing Living End. Again, I'm going to have all the deck lists in the link down in the description down below, so be sure to check those out if you want to check out the deck list. But Living End, this is one of Sodek's specialties. I believe he's written some content on it before, so definitely go check him out for that. But yeah, this is 2 Borrower, a bunch of 4 ofs, nothing really standing out here. 2 Leyline of Sanctity for like Tormod's Crypt and Nihil Spellbomb, that kind of stuff. 3 Subtlety, which is pretty good. I kind of like Subtlety right now against a Fairy, from this deck in particular. But yeah, this is second place, Traditional Living End. Third place, we got some Blue-Red Murktide, 1 Borrower, 2 Serum Visions, 1 Archmage's Charm, 1 Force, to round out the flex spots, and an Explosives, 2 Spell Pierce, huh? Yeah, Murktide's still really good. There are a lot of decks that have a very hard time beating the card Murktide region because it is so large. So if you're, depending on how your removal spells are set up, if you're on like Prismatic Endings and Lightning Bolts and Unholy Heats, you might not just be able to kill this thing. So Murktide region is still a very good deck. Very good card. I'm trying to think of what else I want to say about it. 2 Dress Down, 2 Mind Sculptor in the sideboard. Yeah, everything else looks pretty standard. I guess Consider versus Thought Scour. This person's playing Consider. I know that's a heated debate. But yeah, third place, Blue-Red Murktide. Fourth place, Blue-Red Murktide. No, this is a different person. Yeah, so back-to-back Murktide decks in the top 8, which is pretty cool. Looks like they've come to a lot of the same conclusions: 2 Serum Visions, 4 Considers, a Charm of Force, and Explosives. They don't have the second spell, Pierce. But yeah, I mean, this deck's still really good. The sideboard's pretty much the same, too. This deck's really good, and if you enjoy playing those like blue-based tempo strategies, cheap threats, counter spells, this is definitely a deck for you. 5th place, we got Mordekaiser, another name you might recognize from Twitter and Twitch, playing 4-color Brought Back. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe this deck was popularized the week prior. I think it was, there was somebody who was playing 4-color Brought Back. I can't remember the screen name, but yeah, this is kind of a continuation of this. So we're utilizing the 4-color shell with Brought Back, Showdown of the Scalds. Also something to note, Wandering Mind, only a 1-of, but worth noting here. Pretty good card in a deck like this that's, you know, looking to get some ETB value and you know, play a little bit card. They want another card for Ephemerate. But yeah, this is like the 4-color shell, Forge Fairy, 4 Ren, Solitude, Fury is a couple witnesses with Brought Back Showdown. The Emrakul, the Promised Land on the sideboard, 4 Flusterstorm, that's a lot. Meddling Mage, which is interesting. I kind of like that addition. A Firewalker, because they have Eladamri's Call, so that's kind of where the main deck Meddling Mage comes in. 5th place, 4-color Brought Back. 6th place, we're back to the Amulet train. This is Titasun, I think that's how you say the screen name. This is no Karns. You're gonna notice something here. I'm gonna hover over here for a second. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Cultivator Colossus. This is kind of the breakout weekend for Cultivator Colossus. A card that I did not mention in my top 5 video, but, you know, something, it's always been in the back of my mind because a lot of the Amulet players have been talking about it. But we see 4 copies here. That's right, I said 4 copies of Cultivator Colossus. It might be time for Cultivator Colossus to shine an Amulet. The rest of this deck is, you know, 4 Grazer, 4 Dryad, 4 Titan, 2 Azusa, a lot of the usual suspects. I'm really interested to try out, and hint, hint, there might be a video with this at some point. I really want to try out Amulet with 4 Colossus, because there's been a lot of people that have been advocating for it, and I want to try it out myself. So we might take a look, we might explore that down a later path. But yeah, 6th place, Amulet, 4 Cultivator Colossus. 7th place, Moniz 0801. You might recognize that name on Twitter and Twitch. He did stream a little bit. This is one of the pioneers of the Amulet archetype, or one of the people that has spent a ton of work on it. And we see more Cultivator Colossus. So when somebody that good with Amulet picks up Colossus, that's when, you know, the light bulb kind of turns on a little bit. A lot of the same stuff. The 4th Colossus is even in the sideboard, so there's 4 Colossus in the 75. But yeah, back-to-back Amulet Titan with Cultivator Colossus. Rounding out the top 8, we have some more Jund Saga. This looks pretty similar to Nathan's list. They have 1 Decay, 1 Command, where Nathan had 2 Decay, I believe. Sideboard, a Necromentia, a Doomblade, yada yada yada. But a lot of the same stuff that you see. Again, 4 Ren and 6, 4 Tarmogoyf. Those are the numbers that I'm pretty keen on. But yeah, 8th place, Jund Saga. Let's get into Sunday's challenge. Sunday's challenge, 1st place, Laplace John, another name you might recognize from Twitter. Hammer Time. This person plays a ton of Hammer Time. They've been a very big proponent of it, and main deck Portable Hole, which is an innovation that I hadn't seen before. 2 Bobs, 2 Void Mirrors, 3 Endings in the sideboard. But yeah, if you're looking for a good Hammer Time deck list, I would definitely recommend checking this person's Twitter out. And again, I'll put the deck list in the description down below. But 1st place, Hammer Time. 2nd place, Blue-Red Murktide. Again, a lot of the same stuff. 1 Charm, 1 Force, 1 Pierce, 2 Serum Visions, playing Consider over Thought Scour. A lot of 2-ofs in the sideboard. A lot of these Murktide lists look pretty much the same. But yeah, 2nd place, Blue-Red Murktide. 3rd place, more Blue-Red Murktide. This one was actually Doomswitch's list. People on my Twitch stream confuse Doomswitch and Doomwake a lot. But yeah, this person plays a ton of Murktide. Definitely would check him out on Twitter. And I think this is where, I believe this is where the list originated, the one that we've seen a couple of times previously. Again, 2 Serum Visions, Consider over Thought Scour, 2 Pierce, 1 Explosives, 1 Charm. A lot of the same stuff. So 3rd place, Blue-Red Murktide. Seeing a common theme here, 4th place, Blue-Red Murktide. Same stuff, 1 Charm, 1 Force, 1 Pierce, 1 Explosives, 4 Consider, sideboard, some 2-ofs. Yeah, I'm just going to keep moving on. 4th place, Blue-Red Murktide. 5th place, we finally get out of the Murktide hole. We get Classic Burn. This is the Lurrus version. if you're playing Burn, please play your Lurrus. Eidolon Guide, I mean, you know, I'm not going to spend too much time. 3 Helix, 2 Skullcrack, 3 Sanctifier, 3 Smash, 3 Vortex. A lot of the same stuff that you would see 2 Palm. But yeah, maybe Burn's back on the map. 5th place, Classic Burn. 6th place, this is Pygonti, another name you might recognize from Twitter. This is the 4-color, I believe the canister version. Main deck Veto, 3 Ephemerate. They even have the Time Warp, a Verdict, a Bolt Path Heat, 4 Eternal Witness. Yeah, I think this is the canister version. 4-color Yorion, an Emrakul on the sideboard, 3 Helix, 2 Endurance. But yeah, this is the 4 Eternal Witness, just looping Eternal Witness and Ephemerate. Bunch of good stuff with Yorion, and yeah, just kind of, as we're dubbing it, 4-color Money Pile. 6th place. 7th place, we got some Amulet. A little bit different in terms of the flex slots that we've seen in the past couple Amulet decks. So the ones that we've seen have had either 4 Karns or 3 or 4 Cultivator Colossus. This is playing none of those, and it's playing Cartographer's Survey. This is the new card from the new set. You look at the top 7 of your library, put 2 lands, not basics, just any land types into play, put the rest in the bottom. So if you can hit like 2 bounce lands with an Amulet or something, or double Amulet, you can kind of go off that way. You can find Saga, you can find Valakut when you're doing the Dryad stuff. It seems like it's a pretty good card. It might be worth exploring. This is Musasabi, another name you might recognize. Sideboard, we got 2 Dismember, 2 Force, 2 Tracker. Some good stuff in the sideboard. But yeah, worth noting, Cartographer's Survey is a 2 of. Maybe worth exploring. 7th place, Amulet. And rounding out the top 8, we have Ardos playing... this, what are we calling this now? It's not Ad Nauseam, because there's 1 Ad Naus. I guess we're just going to call it... Pact Oracle? Oracle Pact, I guess? Can't really call it Ad Naus, but yeah, this is the new version of the Ad Naus deck. It's trying to, you know, get its life total down. It's basically trying to exile its entire deck with Unlife and Spoils the Vault. Well, Unlife or Angel's Grace and Spoils the Vault, and then play a Thassa's Oracle. Might be worth exploring this if people are being, you know, less on Thoughtseizes and more on counterspells, because I think this deck fights counterspells better than it fights discard spells, at least in my experience, although maybe Profane Tutor changes that. I would watch out for Teferi, though. This deck's really awkward, dicey against Teferi with Profane Tutor and Lotus Bloom. But yeah, 8th place, we got some, I guess we're going to call it Oracle Pact. Up next, we're going to talk about the Sunday PTQ. I'm going to try and breeze through the next couple events a little bit quicker. First place, we have Grixis Shadow. This is Dress Down Shadow, a main deck Turok, a sideboard Turok. Those are kind of the standouts here. But yeah, Grixis Shadow, maybe back in the menu. First place in the PTQ. Second place in the PTQ, yes, the PTQ. This is Enchantress. I don't recall if this was a super PTQ or a regular PTQ, because supers, they pay out to, they're not pay out, but they give invites to first and second. So I don't recall if this person got an invite or not. I think it was a regular, but yeah, this is Enchantress. This is the first time I've ever seen an Enchantress deck in the top 8 of a modern event, so I'm a little surprised here. I hadn't actually gone over the deck list before this. Solitary Confinement, On Thin Ice, Enchantress's Presence, Abundant Growth. But yeah, if you're into the Enchantress sort of stuff, I'd probably recommend taking a look at this, and maybe Enchantress is good? Question mark. But yeah, second place, green, white, or I guess Naya Enchantress. Third place, back to the boring stuff, Murktide. Although I will note this list has some interesting card choices. We only have 3 Murktide Regents, we have 1 Otherworldly Gaze main deck, and we have main deck Blood Moon instead of the other flex spots, which is interesting. I'm not convinced that you want to ever cut a Murktide Regent, but I kind of like the idea of main deck Blood Moon, so that might be worth exploring. But yeah, third place, Blue-Red Murktide. Fifth place, we have the master himself, Watu, also known as Guillaume Waffletapa, playing his... So this is blue-white with a couple splash lands for Prismatic Ending. I like that. This is Kahira, right? Yep, there's the Kahira. 4 Shark Typhoon in the sideboard. 2 Hero of Dominaria, 1 Cryptic, 1 Veto, 1 main deck Chalice, second one in the sideboard. He has the Emrakul in the sideboard. But yeah, I think the biggest standout here is 4 sideboard Shark Typhoon, which is very interesting, really good in the control on control matchup. 1 Jace, 2 Teferi. But yeah, this is another version of the, I guess we'll call it blue-white control deck. This is more of a blue-white deck than a 4-color deck, obviously. But yeah, 5th place, blue-white control. 6th place, I actually had to make it smaller because I couldn't fit all of the spicy one-ups on the screen. Okay, this is Kiki Cord, right? Kiki, Where's the resto? There's the resto. So we got a 1 Kiki, 1 resto. I'm not going to go over every single one of it, but basically you have Court of Calling with Court of Calling with the Kiki combo. You're an Omnath Solitude deck, and then you have Ephemerate to go along with those stuff. But yeah, it's kind of like you're taking the core of the 4-color control deck with like Omnath, Teferi, Wrenn and 6, Ephemerate, Elementals, and you're mixing in the chord for combo pieces or just chord for value creatures. So that's kind of cool. It's a pretty sweet deck. Might be worth exploring if you're into the creature, like kind of the creature combo-esque type decks. Got an Emrakul the Promised Land on the sideboard, a Traverse the Ulvenwald on the sideboard. We're obviously a Yorion deck. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff going on here, so it might be worth exploring. 6th place, Kiki Chord. 7th place, back to the boring stuff. Just kidding. Blue-White Control. This is main deck Shark Typhoon, main deck Chalice, and the 4th Typhoon on the sideboard. Kahira, Emrakul the Eon's Torn. 3 main deck Chalice. Okay, interesting. So yeah, it looks like if you're into the Blue-White Control stuff and you maybe don't want to play the 4-color version, there's a couple different paths you can take. I'm not sure which one is the best because I'm not a control player. But yeah, if you're into that sort of stuff, there's multiple different options. So 7th place, Blue-White Control. And rounding out the top 8 in 8th place, I guess we saved the best for last. This is Rakdos. I almost want to call this Rakdos Ephemerate, even though it's obviously just a Rakdos deck and it doesn't have Ephemerate. It's more of just like the fact that you have Feign Death, Malakir Rebirth, and Undying Evil. Let me just remember what Feign Death does. This is... Yep, okay. Yeah, this is basically Undying Evil. But yeah, it's essentially you're utilizing Fury and Grief along with 9 ways to bring those cards back. You also have, you know, that stuff brings back like Voidwalker and Kroxa and Ragavan potentially. Not as good with Kroxa, I guess, but yeah, and then just removal spells, discard spells. You got some Village Rights to be able to sack, you know, Pyromancer tokens, or you can even sack Fury or Grief with the trigger on the stack. A lot of cool stuff going on here. So if you're into the Fury Grief kind of life, then maybe this is the deck for you. Let's close it out with the Paris Championship. All right, now I don't know a ton about this event. I know that it was 200 players, but we got first place Teamer Rhino. So this is the not the 4-color version. This is the Teamer version. 24 lands, 2 Bone Crusher, 1 Murktide, 3 Dead Gone, 2 Prismari Command. I like to move away from Seasoned Pyromancer, and then noting there's an Arlen the Pax Hope in the sideboard, which I'd personally probably play the 4th Endurance, but Arlen's kind of sweet, so I don't mind it. But yeah, 2 Bone Crusher, 1 Murktide, 3 Dead Gone, 2 Prismari Command of the things that are worth noting. But first place, Teamer Rhinos. Second place, Eldrazi Tron. Mana Reshaper, Smasher, Thought-Knot Seer, 3 Ballista, 3 Dismember. There's a Karn deck. There's a whole bunch of 1-ofs in the sideboard that I'm not going to go over. But Eldrazi Tron, which is, you know, if you've been playing Modern for a little bit, you probably know what E-Tron is. All the Mana Reshaper memes and whatnot. The Endbringer's kind of cool. But yeah, second place, Eldrazi Tron. Third place, we got some more Amulet. This is Karn, no Cultivator Colossus. I don't know if that has anything to do with card availability, because the set literally just came out like 3 days before this weekend. So I don't know if people had trouble getting the cards or if people just didn't know about it yet. So I'm interested to see what is the quote-unquote standard moving forward. But yeah, this is the Karn version with a bunch of forests, a clean sideboard. Not as many Karn tutor targets that are worth noting, but yeah, in any case, Amulet, 4 Karns, third place. Fourth place, we got a Blast from the Past. This is some green-white Heliod. It's always interesting looking at like the local paper events because you get to see some interesting stuff here. But this is Heliod. For those of you who don't know, Heliod plus Spike Feeder is infinite life. If you throw a... Oh, wait, we don't have the... Where's the 2-drop? Conclave Mentor. No Conclave Mentors? Really? Okay. We're going with 2 Voice, some Charming Princes. Interesting. Okay. That is definitely worth noting. Definitely something maybe worth trying if you're into the Heliod kind of stuff. There's also a main deck Lurrus, which is kind of cool that you can Eladamri's Call for. I kind of like that, actually, because you can loop some stuff like Charming Prince and Caterpillar and that kind of stuff. And then sideboard, 4 Veil, 4 Night of Autumn. Yeah, cool. Looks like a clean sideboard, too. So, yeah, maybe Heliod is something that is worth looking into. Anyways, fourth place, Heliod. Fifth place, we got Dredge. 3 Bloodghast, 2 Thug, 4 Narcomoeba, 2 Ox, 3 Dark Blast, 2 Loam, 1 Conflagrate. These numbers all look pretty good. I kind of still like the second Conflagrate. but that's in the sideboard, so I guess that's fine. 2 Surgical, 3 Nature's Claim. But yeah, Dredge. Dredge maybe back in the menu. If your local scene doesn't have a ton of graveyard hate, might be worth exploring. But yeah, 5th place, Dredge. 6th place, we get some more E-Tron, 3 Dismember, 1 Endbringer. This looks fairly similar to the last list. Maybe they're, obviously I don't know if the people know each other, but this looks, and even like the singletons, like the 1 Endbringer, the 1 Caller, that kind of stuff, 3 Dismembers. But yeah, E-Tron, 2 in the top 8 of this event. Again, 200-person event, so that's maybe worth noting. But 6th place, Eldrazi Tron. 7th place, we got this is kind of a more traditional Heliod deck with Auriok Champion, Conclave Mentor, that kind of stuff. But yeah, Collected Company, E-Call, 4 Utopia Sprawl, Sideboard Sanctifier, Endurance, Force of Vigor, a lot of good stuff here. So maybe, 2 copies of Heliod, definitely something worth noting, but 7th place, Heliod combo. And rounding out the top 8, we have a black-green Yawgmoth deck. This is 1 Messenger, main deck Liberator, 3 Grist, a Blood Artist. So this looks, I think, pretty close to what Ed was on. That's Demonic Tutors on Magic Online. I think this is pretty close to what they were on, and they play a ton of Yawgmoth, so I'd definitely check out their list. 3 Endurance, 2 Necromancy. Yeah, I think this is pretty close to Ed's list. But yeah, rounding out the top 8, Yawgmoth. Now, normally I would go over and see if we can find extra spice, but this video is already running a little bit longer than expected, so let's give you a broad picture, just kind of put the top 8s on the screen. We'll talk about them briefly, and then we'll close it out. Alright, so we got a lot of events this weekend. One thing worth noting, let's do a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 copies of Murktide across the Magic Online events, 0 copies of Murktide across the 2 paper events. So I don't know if the dominance of Murktide is like primarily an online thing. That's kind of interesting. A few control decks here. We have a split between Azorius and 4-color. There's some cool spicy ones like the Rakdos deck, the Kiki Core deck, the Enchantress deck, and a couple. And then when you look at the paper event, you have the Scales, the Infect, the 2 Heliod. So it's like there's still some spice, but I think the one takeaway here is it looks like the Magic Online metagame is like much more geared toward like one deck for a specific weekend. You just like pick the deck that has the tools for that weekend. Whereas like I think the paper events are generally going to be a little bit more wide open because as far as paper is concerned, people just kind of have what they have, and Modern's not the most accessible format. The prices are a little high right now. So people can't really switch between decks as easy as they can on Magic Online with, rental services and things like that, the cards being cheaper or whatnot. So I think the paper metagames are always going to look a little bit more spread out than the online metagames, where it's just like kind of people just want to pick the deck for the weekend, and it looks like this weekend it was Murktide. So that's kind of my takeaway from this. But, Modern is, I think, still a fairly wide open format. There's tons of spice, and I think Modern's in a great spot right now. So let's close it out with that. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to smash the like and subscribe button. Please be sure to let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the video. And I will see y'all in the next one.